Persons pose special problems of identity. A person is someone who has a point of view on the world, desires and aspirations, a history encapsulated in memory, and tendencies towards certain kinds of actions or responses to the world and other people. A person is someone with the capacity to make rational and moral decisions, for which they can be held accountable and praised or blamed accordingly. It's hard, though perhaps not impossible, to make sense of all this if persons are not things which endure over time. What accounts for a person's being one and the same individual over time? Because her body is constantly undergoing replacement of parts, bodily continuity seems secondary to the identity of a person. When I think about my character as a person, I typically reflect on my past thoughts and deeds. The priority that memory has in shaping our sense of self over time led John Locke in the 17th century to propose that memory is the criterion for personal identity over time. Since I can only, strictly speaking, remember my own past experiences, if there really is memory, then it seems to follow that there must also be a persisting self whose life is traced through memory. As a criterion for personal identity, however, memory has its limits. There are many times in our life, including infancy and lapses of consciousness, which we do not remember. It may also be objected that to propose memory as the criterion for personal continuity begs the question. Since I must be able to identify my memories as mine, don't I already need a concept of myself as a continuing individual person in order to identify my memories? So how can my memory then be what gives me a sense of self? In response to these questions, philosophers have shifted the focus away from memory and more onto psychological continuity or connectedness, which doesn't presuppose that the person is aware of themselves at every moment as a continuing individual. On this view, memory is really only one form of psychological continuity among others, but it is that psychological connectedness over time that makes the person.